Hello and welcome to Opening the Curtain, an interview series of artists in conversation with students. My name is Suhani Gupta and I'm a senior at Milpitas High School. Today I'm interviewing Kauser Mohammed, who is a writer, actress, and comedian from San Jose, California. So, hello.
Hi.
So the first question is, what is your job and what does that entail?
Yes. So I am an actress and a writer, and I guess also a comedian. And I also do voiceover. So the job entails largely a lot of auditioning, like a lot of auditioning, like 75% auditioning, and then maybe 25% is actually doing the dang thing on set or at a voiceover studio and that sort of thing. So I'd say auditioning is one. Rejection is also part of that auditioning, and also it entails that'd be the first step, and then the next step is a part of preparing the work. So if it's a script, if it's a voiceover script, I don't have to memorize it, but I kind of go through and I mark my stuff up on my iPad. And then, or it might be something like memorizing or preparing. And depending on the role, I might work with a coach or with a friend to help me do it through. And then the other part of it is showing up and doing the job.
So, how did you get to where you are now?
Mm. Well, I also grew up in the Bay Area, so I'm from San Jose. And for me, I just done a lot of theater growing up. I loved theater. It was just a way to be goofy. But even before theater, I was kind of doing other goofy performance-based stuff. Like, I don't know, putting on performances with my friends, like in the front yards and that sort of thing. And then when I went to college, I, kind of had that idea, coming from a South Asian community and feeling like, acting wasn't really a viable career, or TV and film wasn't really a viable career. So I wanted to have my backup, my stable thing in the back seat. So I went to school to study for communications and international development. But then while I was there, I got wrapped back up in sketch comedy specifically. I'd been introduced to what sketch comedy was and was just like, my mind was blown because I didn't even know that was a thing. And recaught the bug and then decided to continue pursuing acting. But I was working at a nonprofit part-time for a long time until I could move into acting full-time.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Me, myself, I'm also majoring in communications. As
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, as a person who also really enjoys film and theater, I'm also going into the communications field as well.
Love it. But I also feel like I don't regret that for a second because I feel like it came back around and helps me in other ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know where you're have like applications come back? Like, do you know where you're going?
No, it comes out in March. Nervous, but
Hey, you're gonna be great.
thanks. Okay. The next question is, why do you love what you do?
I think I love what I do because it's an opportunity to. I honestly feel like working in a creative capacity makes me be my best type of person. I know when I am deep in working on something or deep in the craft of it all, I'm constantly reminded to live in balance, or live with empathy and compassion, and also take care of myself as the instrument. And I feel like it allows me to be my best self. And so for that, I'm very grateful.
Next question. How do you see the future of your art form?
Mm. Do you mean like with me personally in it, or the way TV and film is going to expand, or acting, or comedy?
You can answer both. I'm curious to see how you personally would see it.
I think what I'm realizing now more than ever is just how important it is and how much I enjoy my art more when it's around community and people who I love. And I look forward to, in a couple of years, growing this community. And in my dream world, I would be doing projects with my friends all the more, and looking around and seeing a bunch of um, BIPOC differently, just different people all around me. And then that's what I want. And I hope that's where the industry is going to. But what about you? What do you think in regards to where you want to be with your artistries?
With my artistries, well, personally, as I've always wanted to go into the art field to bring more diversity and stuff into the field, like film and stuff, because I usually never see as much, like especially like as like an Indian, I don't really see that many Indians. So I want to like make a change, and hopefully in the future we see a lot more diversity, not in just Indians but overall. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Just think more of everything, because
Yeah.
everyone, there's so many more stories we have yet to hear, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I think like in our, like as South Asians and stuff, I feel like I'm so excited about how folks are getting more knowledge about
Mm.
the diversity of South Asia, you know? Like, did you watch Never Have I Ever?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty good. Like I was excited to see someone that was like me on screen, like relatable. So I was like,
Yeah.
because that never happens. And not only that, it was a good show overall.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then, like, I feel like it was so good because it told like a very specific, like, I remember, I think like reading something just talking about like how the importance of really staying authentic to like the South Indian experience and sharing that on screen, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and I feel like it's so fun because we're at a spot now where we're like, oh, it's not just one giant country. There's people within it and they're different too.
We're just getting started, so it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Do you have any people that you really look up to in terms of who are doing the art right now? And you're like, oh, I love that. I could see that happening, you know?
I don't, I personally, I don't look up to anyone specific.
Hmm.
I think I look at movies and I'm like, wow, like this is what I want to see in the future that I do more. I
When
think
did you know that it interests you? Like, when were you like, oh, I really love this?
actually it was like eighth grade in
Mm.
India. I don't know, just had the spark, and I was like, I gotta join theater in high school. And I did theater for like until like now, and I hope to pursue that in college and hopefully in the future as well.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, how fun.
The question is, as a POC, what challenges did you face as you tried to enter the industry?
This is a very real question. And I think every so often like this, that question evolves, you know? I think that question starts even like before entering the industry, right? Like, I think there's a reason why numbers are so low in terms of specifically like, Asian representation and South Asian representation, and all types of representation too, right? Like also whether it's like trans or disabled folks, it's low because we don't see it on screen. So even before we're even there to be able to start it, we're already told that the media is not some place that we're supposed to be, or a place that we're supposed to be seen. Um, and so I think that's even just getting the courage to do it feels like such a huge, hard thing. And I think that's one of the first barriers of access, you know? And then I think from there, other barriers have been also kind of trying to figure out where my voice is and where I lie, you know? That feeling of being like, well, I don't want to be only called into the role because my last name is Mohammed and they expect me to wear to wear a hijab or speak in an accent, and all those things are real in our communities 100%, and we should embrace them if that is our experience. But our experience is more diverse, as we were saying, we're not a monolith. I didn't want it to be what essentially places whiteness as the norm and everything else is other. So realizing how I wanted to step up into the space. And then in that, it was another barrier was finding community, which is also something we just talked about. And then I feel like along the way, I found like the South Asian sketch comedy team that I'm a part of called the Get Brown. And that's been a huge affirmation of just the joy of working within people and community in that sense. And because then it felt really lonely for a while as well, feeling like I'm the only South Asian in the room or the only person of color even. I think also, trying to break the mold in casting. So being like, I was just talking to my manager about this the other day about this idea of like, there's only so many roles. It feels like sometimes there's only so many roles for people of color, when it's like, why is that, and what does it mean to move in spaces where we're able to just be normal and be ourselves and be considered for all types of roles?
it's like what you said, like the mold of when you go into like a casting room or something. It's usually not like a POC or something. They look for,
Yeah.
oh, like not a person of color. So you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like you have to,
White is the norm. Yeah.
yeah, that, yeah. And and then people of color have to work even harder to not only break that norm, but to like not get roles that are specifically designed just for them.
But I was just saying, no, I totally agree too. But I think that's why I started writing more, because it was like, okay, the reason these roles aren't here is because we don't have people writing them, and leaning into the writing aspect too, and just wanting more BIPOC folks in positions of leadership, whether it's at networks or whether it's at theaters, and having them lead the way. Because you're so right that's a part of it too.
I also,
Yeah.
personally, I had a question. How did you like, okay, I asked you like what challenges did you face as you try to enter? Like how did you enter? Like parents
Mm,
and like everything in general. Like I just want to know.
yeah. That's a very real question. So I think I entered because I was a part of the sketch team in college. I had enough basically like materials and real footage to start seeking representation. Yeah. And my route was, I knew I wanted to do TV and film. So it was a matter of getting managers and agents and getting like a team together. So then got my reel together, got headshots, and then I was like, and then started cold emailing people, and eventually like found representation. And then there's like different databases too. So there's like this database called Actors Access, which you submit to jobs for, and then you audition. So it's kind of just like working that way up, and then your managers and agents give you jobs. So that was kind of the process. But as linear and straightforward it may seem, it was totally full of like so many moments of being like, what am I doing? Or feeling like I have to go to a meeting right now for work, or I have to send this email out, and I also have an audition. And I also have an audition. So, and then also a lot of self-doubt along the way, like, oh man, like what are my parents gonna think? What are people gonna think back home? But I mean, I guess like step by step, it kind of like came to a place where I was like, oh wow, like this is a possibility. And I think also another reality was amidst this all, and even to this day, I love the more community-based work I do, like whether it was at that time with nonprofit or a business that I have now that does racial and gender equity training. It was important to me to have something like that as well, for me personally. Yeah. What about for you? Like, is there any fear around it, or like, how did you like, what's the sentiment?
Of like joining like the industry or like trying to like get into it? Is that
Yeah.
like of course there's like this fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like going into the industry not knowing what to do at all, first of all, because yeah. And not only that, like I don't know, it's just like yeah, it's mainly the fear of failure, trying to get in and like not getting into anything and just like wasting a lot of time doing what you like wanted to do and not being able to get it, like
Mm-hmm.
like putting a lot of effort and just not seeing anything come out of it. But I think that is what the industry is, first of all. Like if you love something, you should do it, which is kind of,
Yeah.
I have like this YOLO mentality, like you only live once type of thing, that I'm just like, you know what, if I want to do it, I should at least try. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the future I will like try to get in. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how that rolls out. But yeah, I think like as much as the feel of failure is like out to like get me, they're like, you might not even be able to make it. Why are you trying? It's like, but it's like, why am I not trying? You never know until you try. So I think
Yeah.
that's my main basis on the whole, like, trying to get in, how to get in.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, that's such the fear of failure is such a real thing. And I feel like it makes me think about just like enjoying the process, like we're here, we're enjoying the process. And I feel like maybe that fear of failure never goes away, but I think it's redefining like what success is and what failure is, like what if failure was like redefined as like not trying, then it's like you failed by simply not trying, versus
Exactly.
success is trying, regardless of the outcome.
My question to you is, what project do you take the most pride in that you had in your job?
Yeah. I would say the projects I take the most pride in are ones that I do with my friends and good people around me, and also ones where it feels super collaborative and like fulfilling artistically. And I think two of the ones that really come to mind on that is one project called East of La Brea, which was produced by Powder Keg and Samir Gardezi. And essentially it was a story of two young Muslim American women growing up in LA, sort of like in their kind of with an insecure vibe, you know, they're both broke. They both are just figuring their adulthood out and just happen to be Muslim. And I loved it, how normalized that conversation was. And from the start to finish, everyone on that shoot and show was just so amazing and so there because they loved the project and were there because they wanted to tell this really important story. And then another one is one that I'm working on right now, which is Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. And I get to voice the character of Yaz on that. And I love it so much just because everyone on that show was also just so kind and so amazing, from the executive producers to the director to the cast and crew. And working on it, just that character is so close to my heart. I love Yaz so much, you know. I don't know, it's like, you know, it's my character, so she's also like kind of like my baby, you know, and like I get to see her grow over these 2 seasons. And I also just think the show is so good due to the creative team being amazing. So those are both things I'm very excited about.
Those sound really cool. I just wanted to say that I would.
Thanks.
As we wrap up the conversation and the interview, do you have any last words or anything you would like to share?
I think I would just want to share the importance of like claiming one's own voice, you know. I think in particular, sometimes we're told that our story, or sometimes we're made to feel like our stories don't matter, or like what we have to say doesn't matter, or where we come from doesn't matter. But like all these parts of our identity are so important, you know. And I think everyone has their own unique story to tell, you know. Like there's no such thing as like one's own story has never been told before. So it's important to know that and claim that, embrace it, and also see the value of self in that.
Thank you so much for your time today, Kauser. It was amazing to learn about your career, and I personally had a great time interviewing you. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. It's so lovely chatting with you, and just excited for you and all that's to come. And I hope you do all the things you want to do with the artistry, because the world needs your work in it. So thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Opening the Curtain, Artists in Conversation with Students, a collaboration between TheatreWorks Silicon Valley and Palo Alto Unified School District as part of the Kennedy Center Partners in Education program. We will continue to explore different careers available in the performing arts throughout the school year. Please join us for the next set of videos in the series at the end of each month at theatreworks.org.